Welcome back to our discussion on the measures of dispersion. So in the previous video, we are done discussing with calculating the standard deviation for ungrouped data. So this time, we'll be talking about the standard deviation for grouped data. So to calculate the standard deviation for grouped data, we follow the steps. Number one or letter A is determine the midpoint of each class. Then we subtract the mean to the midpoint of each class to get the deviations from the mean. It's almost the same with what we have done in the previous video, but this time since given halimbawa yung frequency table ninyo, so you're going to find the standard deviation. So yun ang dinidiscuss natin dito. Okay? Then you square each deviation from the mean and multiply the frequency and the square deviations from each class. Then we calculate the standard deviation for grouped data. Following, we add the product of the frequency and the square deviations from each class. Okay? Then using this formula, S is equal to the square root of f of I or f sub I times f times x of I minus x bar quantity squared, where I is from 1 to n divided by n minus 1. So there, pansin nyo parang the same lang. But the difference is that we need to multiply here the frequency. And in which manner, x of I now, okay, so, yun yung S is the standard deviation still. F of I or F sub I is the frequency in each class. And X of I here is different now because it is now the midpoint of each class. And the same, X bar is the mean and the total number of value of the data set. Let's have the example. So this has been given to you as well. Previous video. Let's begin our calculation. I have here a table already in Microsoft Excel. So first things first, we need to construct column for the midpoint. Okay, so let's name the midpoint as x sub n. Sige, capital letter x sub n. Okay, that's our midpoint. The midpoint of the COVID-19 class cases. Okay, yung class nito. The midpoint is equal to 209 plus 251. Okay, divided by 2. Enter. So we have 230. That's the midpoint. So you can just copy this one. But, yun yun, di ba? Magkaiba. So, mapansin niyo dito, gagawin nyo ngayon dito. Dito kayo mag-change ng values. We have 252. Then, we have also here 294. Okay? Then, we have here 295. 337. Okay, then we have here 338. That's 380 divided by 2. Then finally we'll have 381 plus 423 divided by 2. Okay, or other way of doing is, say for example, yung una lang muna ang ginawa ninyo. Okay? Other way of doing this is determine the value of the first class. Then we know that the class width or the class interval is 43 in this case. 43 din dito. So we just add the 43 here. Okay? So we have 230 or equals 1 plus 43. equals ulit plus 43. Ganyan na lang. Equals to plus 43. Still, you will get the same answer. It's equal to, depende sa triplet. Plus. Okay. So, this is the column for the midpoint. Ano yung next natin na step? Subtract the mean to the midpoint of each class to get the deviations from the mean. But before we can get the mean, let's multiply first the frequency times the midpoint. Yan yung formula natin na nakaraan. So, equals multiply times here and enter. Okay. And get this, the sum of this is equal to sum. Nire-recall lang natin yung ginawa yung nakaraan, ha? Okay. And then, to get the mean or the x bar, okay, simply we divide. Ito divided by 30. Okay? Bakit ginawa kong ganyan? Para anytime na magbago yung mga values nyo dito, still the same. Magbabago rin yung formula nito. Enter. Okay. So, our mean is 297.37 and our task is to subtract. Okay. So, we have x sub m minus x bar. Yan. Okay. So, equals here minus our mean. Then enter. Then drag it all the way down to row number 6. Okay. Then we square each of these values in this column. Square muna natin. X or the midpoint minus the mean. Quantity squared. So again, ito lang yan. Equals to or equals A2 raised by the second power. And enter. Bawasan natin. Then, okay. Okay. Then, finally, we will multiply the frequency times the midpoint minus the mean. X bar. Quantity squared. Okay. Let's multiply it. Equals frequency times this one. Enter. Okay. Then drag it down all the way to G6. Okay. Then let's get the sum. It's equal to sum. Okay. Then enter. Now we are ready to get the standard deviation. Okay. The standard deviation would be, lagyan na lang SD ha, or S kasi yun ang formula natin. S would be equals the square root, ulit dyan, SQRT, square root of this, okay, divided by this, may parenthesis muna tayo, open parenthesis, this, minus 1, okay, lagay minus 1 yan, don't forget it, close parenthesis, and then another close parenthesis, then enter. This would be our deviation, standard deviation. Okay. So this means that problem at the number of COVID-19 infections. The number of COVID-19 infections varies or are scattered every day. Are scattered from each. Okay? Kalat-kalat siya. So, ang distance ng bawat bawat individual ay 200 feet. Medyo malayo-layo. Okay? I'll see you in the next video.